Good evening and welcome to the regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting being held on Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. I'm calling the meeting to order at 5:30. If we can please call the roll.
Mrs. Arvanites?
Here.
Mrs. Assif?
Here.
Mrs. Caforio?
Here.
Mr. Collins?
Here.
Dr. Henry?
Here.
Mrs. Hostler?
Here.
Mrs. Troutman?
Here.
7 board members present, 0 absent. Can we have a motion to go into closed session?
I move that the Board of Education move into closed session for the purposes of the employment, appointment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. 5 ILCS 122C1. Collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, 5 ILCS 122C2. The placement of individual students in special education programs and others matters relating to individual students, 5 ILCS 122C10. Discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed under the Open Meetings Act, whether for purposes of approval by the body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by Section 2.06, 5 ILCS 122C21.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Troutman, second by Ms. Caforio. Can we please call the vote?
Mrs. Troutman?
Yes.
Mrs. Caforio?
Yes.
Mrs. Assif?
Yes.
Dr. Henry?
Yes.
Mrs. Hostler?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mrs. Arvanites?
Yes, 7 ayes, 0 nays. Everyone's here. Motion passes. The board will move into closed session. Welcome to the Board of Education meeting on Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. The board has been in closed session since 5:30 PM for items listed on this agenda. We have 6 board members present and 1 absent. At this time, I ask that we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, we will start off our meeting today. Thank you all for being here with our spotlights and recognition section of our board meeting. And we have first up our middle school students from the Illinois Music Educator Association. So if you are here for ILMEA, come on up and stand right in the center of this U and face your parents. Thanks. Are you up there? Yeah.
Well, hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I am Patrick Baker, and I'm the District Director of Arts, PE, and Health. It's an honor and a privilege to be with you this evening as we celebrate the accomplishments of some of our outstanding middle school student musicians here before us tonight. The Illinois Music Education Association District 1 Junior Festival involves students selected from schools across Chicago and the western and southwestern suburbs. These students prepared for and successfully completed a rigorous audition in order to be accepted into one of the highly selective junior festival ensembles. We commend them for their tenacious work ethic and their commitment to their artistry. Each of them has done an excellent job representing themselves, their ensemble, their school, District 205, and the entire Elmhurst community. On behalf of myself, the middle school music team, some of whom are with us tonight as well, and the entire District 205 music team, we extend our proudest congratulations to each and every one of these students. And finally, thanks to our board, to our district and building administration, and to the families of all of our students for your ongoing support of our program. This would not be possible without your continued commitment to music education here in Elmhurst. Thank you all very much.
Hi, I just want to say a few words and read the proclamation. I just love seeing so many students get involved in our top-notch music program here that we're so lucky to have in District 205, thanks to all of our amazing instructors and you students who put in so much hard work to be here. It's so nice to play music every day in school, but then to be able to have opportunities to get involved in things like ILMEA, it makes it even that much more special. So I'm going to read the proclamation. Congratulations to all of you. Keep up the good work, and I hope you will always find time for music in your life as you move on from here. The Illinois Music Educators Association competitions are widely regarded as the premier state-level recognition program in music education. And each year, countless students from schools across the greater Chicagoland region audition in hopes of earning a place in the Illinois Music Education Association. All district band, chorus, orchestra, and jazz band. And this program honors some of the most talented young musicians in Illinois, celebrating their dedication and skill while fostering a lifelong pursuit of musical excellence. And the following students from District 205 have been selected to participate in the Junior ILMEA festivals. Amari Buffkin for chorus and soprano, Brady Zarnacki for band and trombone, Zach Day for orchestra, double bass, Nicholas Diligianis for Jazz Band 2, Jazz Piano, Band, French Horn, Frederick Eichmeyer for Band and Tuba, Rafaelo Fernandez for Chorus and Baritone, Zoe Garcia for Band and Flute, Anthony Hallahan for Band and Trumpet, Avery Ronick for Orchestra and Violin, Savannah Kvernmo for Orchestra and Violin, Harrison Kelton for Band and B-flat Clarinet, Samantha Kuntz for chorus and alto, Madison Layton for orchestra and viola, Samantha Layton for orchestra and violin, Yorgos Malamis for band and B-flat clarinet, Athanasia Manavis for band and percussion, Nathan Markwald for band and percussion, Samuel Maddet for orchestra and viola, Amelia Mohammed for chorus and soprano, Eben Moy for band and trombone, Kai Osterman for orchestra and cello, Adam Paoli for chorus and soprano, Lauren Pond for orchestra and violin, Susanna Paulson for chorus and soprano, Sajan Peel for orchestra and cello, Brady Shaw for Jazz Band 1, jazz and trombone, or jazz trombone, Rebecca Shibu for chorus and alto, Talia Savinelli, orchestra violin, Theo Yu, band oboe, and Caden Wickling for band tuba. Their remarkable achievement brings distinction and honor to Bryan Middle School, Churchville Middle School, Sandburg Middle School, Elmhurst District 205, and the community as a whole. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education and Administration of Elmhurst Community Unit School District 205 proudly commend these students, their families, and the entire District 205 music staff for their exceptional accomplishments and contributions to the arts. Congratulations.
Congratulations to all the students and their parents for this wonderful honor and achievement. And like Beth said, we hope you continue to make room for music. I'd also like to take a second to thank the teachers who work with all of our students. It's a lot of hours, not just in the classroom, but outside the classroom, and weekends too. So thank you for all you do to the teachers and staff, parents, in supporting these students as they keep moving and shaking and doing wonderful things. We will move on to item B, which is Lincoln Elementary School Spotlight.
Good evening. I am Calissa Smith, the principal of Lincoln Elementary.
I'm Maureen Schroeder, assistant principal of Lincoln Elementary.
And unfortunately, Ms. Walton, our amazing LRC director, is not able to be here tonight, but we are here to represent some of the incredible work that she's doing in our awesome new space with many of our students, both within their school day and beyond. So today we are going to highlight our maker space and our Project Lead the Way work that's been done to focus on integrating with our curriculum and bringing all of those resources to life for our students. So a few quick highlights. just again, as our purpose, our makerspace is this incredible hub. As you enter our second floor, you're kind of greeted with this beautiful open space that is now full of lots of student work. It is truly a hub for fostering creativity, critical thinking, and design skills. There are many resources. We just have some additional 3D printing tools. Thank you to that additional budget line. Our students just can't get enough. You'll hear the buzz of those printers going pretty much 24 hours a day at this time. And they both support not only our academic, but our extracurricular programming at Lincoln. We just can't get enough during the day, so we'll highlight some of the clubs that are happening because of the work that's being done during our school day. In addition, we have great accessibility, so our students are being able to, again, access it during their regular LRC time. Ms. Walton makes a point to make sure that students are being able to monitor their work throughout the day because they just can't wait for their products to be printed, and then also expanded beyond the day. A few opportunities for curricular integration. So we wanted to make sure that the work that was being done, both through Project Lead the Way, that Nick Stoyas led, and now Ms. Walton gets to bring to life, not only provided something that went beyond the classroom, but also included the learning that was happening in the classroom. So, for example, our 3D printing items were being able to be fostered by creating those space stations, which was extending the work of our third grade classrooms. Our fourth grade is getting to do some research monuments as they study the states in our social studies and are able to create monuments there. And then also students are getting some exposure to pre-architecture, right, by using Tinkercad for a number of kind of fun, playful items at the beginning, but now going a little bit deeper. And so Ms. Schroeder is going to highlight a few of the other very intentional ways that we're using those Project Lead the Way resources to connect to our students' learning.
So the Project Lead the Way units were really selected to support that classroom learning in alignment with our current ELA and science topics. For example, first grade, our ELA Wit and Wisdom unit is creature features, and our science unit is animals. So the Project Lead the Way unit is animal adaptations, and students learn about animals adaptations and create their own animals in the makerspace as a project, reinforcing those concepts. From the ELA and science. They also get great hands-on learning opportunities. In our third grade, they have a unit called Hurricanes, and the students actually design and build hurricane-proof homes with various materials. I've seen them try to make these materials in these homes, and then they test them with a fan and a spray bottle, providing a lot of interactive hands-on that experience, and they have great fun with that. That Project Lead the Way lessons are really supplemented with, Mrs. Walton has supplemented a lot of the related stories, enhancing the literacy and deepening the connections into classroom topics. She has book displays and book talks now aligned with our Wit and Wisdom units, in addition to seasonal themes and fostering that excitement about reading. She's expanded the coding curriculum. So the new coding units have been added to all grade levels. Students are using Scratch Junior or Scratch.org. Last year it was coding officially, it was only offered to 4th and 5th grade. It was piloted in 2nd, and the students have been so excited and very enthusiastic about showcasing their own coding games to Ms. Walton and ourselves.
In addition, they just couldn't contain all of their excitement about using these materials between 8 and 3. So in addition to many of the other after-school clubs that we offer that now support over 250, almost half of our students, 4 days a week, the 3D Printing Club and Open Exploration Club has been created. So Ms. Walton is allowing students to kind of go beyond the curriculum and really think about how can they extend that learning into some of their passion projects. So there's a little bit of an unrestricted access to what that looks like in that hour and a half after school. The impact is that students are really taking ownership, coming up with new ideas, very excited to share it with so many of us and their parents at home. Again, there's we have students who are creating a 3D model of an entire home and really looking at the interlocking layers that show a lot of the interior features. So again, we have some budding architects heading down all the way down to elementary, and then continuing to create some custom designed action figures that are kind of pushing their limits in terms of what they can design. One of our parents highlighted, as we hear a lot of really positive feedback about the opportunities that students are having to kind of really foster the whole child. We have theater and we have STEAM and we have now our 3D printing. So being able to use the district resources to provide these extra things beyond our school day has really amplified the learning experience. And this is just a quote from one of our parents whose student can't speak enough to the work that's being done. So our fourth grader's been doing and loving that 3D printing project. It's combined her love of art and design with a very futuristic, forward-thinking way of making. The club puts students in the driver's seat, and sometimes that's, you know, the walk you have during the regular school day. So it allows them to kind of own their learning and create from start to finish with thought starters and, of course, Ms. Walton's guiding hand. But we parents, again, say that this is just one of the many comments that we get to hear. They get to hear about the creative process behind the scenes and really love that free flow artistic approach that's allowed, which is not always available in an elementary school. So we appreciate your support and dedication to providing high quality resources for our students to use and connect their learning beyond just what's happening in the classroom. And we look forward to what's to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and just a quick note, sorry, I'm stopping you. Well, I think what's most remarkable about what you just showed us is not just the age of the students and what they're doing, right? Like things like coding, a whole new language, really, and learning and implementing. But the most, I think, impressive part is that your team is helping students find their passion and what excites them. And not only finding it and helping them, learn more about it or go deeper to explore, but you're creating the space for them to explore and grow outside of that classroom. So you're taking those boundaries away, right? And creating space so that if students are interested, they have somewhere to go after school, which we all know increases student engagement, creates safe and welcoming schools, and here we are, you're living it. And so thank you for all the work that you do, to you and your staff and team, and all the parents and everyone who's supporting the good work. Thank you.
Thank you. It's our honor. Appreciate it. Take care.
Okay, next section of our agenda is public comments. We don't have any public comments, but I do want to ask, is there anybody in the audience who wanted to address the board? Seeing there are none, we will skip the public comment section of the board meeting. Item number 6 is the approval of board meeting minutes. We have the approval of regular and special board meeting minutes from December 17th, 2024. The special meeting was January 7th, 2025. Are there any changes to those minutes? Seeing no changes, those meeting minutes stand as presented. Next, we have the approval of closed session minutes from December 17th, 2024, and the special meeting on January 7th, 2025. Those meeting minutes stand as presented. We will move on now to item number 7, which is reports and presentations. Our first report and presentation tonight is the abatement presentation. Hi, Elizabeth.
Good evening. Thanks for having me tonight. So I'm here to review the abatement options that were reviewed, I believe, in December. And we're going to we added a few more for consideration. So firstly, I'd like to review the assumptions that are behind the abatement resolution or abatement options. So we have no reassessment growth in property tax base. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. And the reason we don't assume that is because then we'd have to assume that for the value of the home that we're evaluating here, and it's very hard to tell year from year. We do, however, have an assumption for new property growth, and that's been pretty steady, plus or minus 40 million in prior levy years. And so we're assuming that for levy year 2024 and each levy year thereafter. CPI for 2024 is 3.4%. We're assuming 2.5% in levy year '25, which we'll find out in a day or two, and then 2% thereafter. Debt service payments, including all outstanding bonds, do include a 1% loss in collection from DuPage County, and we have a placeholder in for future non-referendum bonds starting in 2025 levy year. So non-referendum bonds, the district issued in 2010 life safety bonds, those are being paid off. So you have the ability to issue additional bonds, whether they be working cash or another type of non-referendum bond. The tax levy does not include any recapture levy amounts, and just to remind the board what that is any tax objections that aren't calculated in the current levy year and result in a reduction in your tax extension due to repayment based on assessments. Those dollars are then recaptured the following levy year and extended on top of the regular tax extension to make up for any shortfalls. And then, just so we have this in mind, the deadline for approving a debt service abatement resolution is February 28th. I believe the board intends to consider the chosen option at its February meeting. Okay, so this chart is the current situation. We'll call it option 1. And abatements are using dollars that the district has either in its operating funds or if there's excess in the debt service fund to reduce the tax levy for principal and interest on bonds. Therefore, that does not negatively impact the operating fund extension, but it does impact the overall taxes paid by the community. So just to go through this chart, starting on the left-hand side, we have levy year. We have highlighted in yellow the 2024 levy year. Prior to that, those are actual numbers. The EAV, as you see, we're assuming the same as last year. New property at 40 million. We have the prior year tax extension, and then the CPI of 3.4%. That is a calculation under the property tax extension limitation law that gives you a limiting rate of 4.202 and a proposed operating extension taking advantage of the tax cap of 141.9 million. That is an operating increase of 4.64%. Then we get to debt. So last year the debt levy was 15.4 million. And change. And this year, if there's no abatement, that tax levy will go up to 15,967,216. After that, the debt levy will stabilize, depending on what you do with the non-referendum bonds, at 15,442 or less. So right now, you're looking at a slight increase of about $500,000 in the debt service fund. That brings your total proposed levy to $157,875,555. So together with the operating rate, that increases year over year the levy by 4.52%. Then we put it in terms of the tax rate. So we take that total extension and divide it by the EAV to give us the proposed tax rate. And as you can see, the tax rate is 4.675, going up 13 cents over last year. So with no abatement, that is an increase for the owner of a $500,000 market value home of $200. The next year, the tax extension for debt will go down, and it may go down even more if no non-referendum bonds are issued. The bottom part is just a graph. The green bars show the debt payments, the yellow bars show the operating fund. So that's really option 1. So I wanted to go through all those columns just to give you a feel then for what these next slide options are going to entail. So option 2 is to abate the debt service levy down to that 15.442 million level. That requires an abatement of $525,060. So those funds would be transferred into the debt service fund, and then the county clerk would be directed by resolution to reduce the levy to that amount. That keeps the debt payment very nice and flat for the next several years. In this case, instead of going up $200, as we saw in option 1, the impact to the homeowner is $175 increase over the prior year. The next option is an abatement of $800,000. So this brings the 24 levy for debt service down to $15,167,000, and that results in a lesser increase, $162. Now, the thing to notice here, the debt the next year will go up to $15,442,000. So the increase in 25 goes up a little more than in the level option. And let me just go back to that page to reference that number. So 158 in the 2025 year on option 2 versus 171 on the $800,000 abatement in option 3. Next option is an abatement of $1 million. So again, $1 million would be transferred into the debt service fund and reduce the extension for debt service down to $14,967,216. That results in an increase for the $500,000 home of $153. Again, lower than the $175 in the next option, but again, look at that next year, it does pop back up. The board, of course, could consider future abatements next year. And then this last page just puts these options side by side. So here we're looking in option 1, at the current situation. We just looked at the total proposed dollars to be paid on a $500,000 market value home for the entire tax rate, which is $7,418. Option 2, with an abatement of $525,060, bringing it down to that $15,000,004 level. The funds, the impact on the home is $7,393. So that's $25 less than the no abatement option 1. Then option 3 is the $800,000 abatement. That brings the taxes down for that homeowner further to $7,380. That's a $38 reduction versus no abatement. And then option 4 is a $1 million abatement, and that brings the levy down, the taxes down for the homeowner to $7,371, which is $47 lower than doing nothing on option 1. So sorry, I'm talking all these numbers. Hopefully it hasn't confused you. I'd be happy to take any questions.
We'll open it to the board and any questions. Thank you for the presentation. Looks like there are no questions. All right.
It's because it was a
Comments?
very thorough
It was very thorough. We've
Presentation.
seen it all before, haven't we?
Yes, you have.
Yes, okay. Then with that, Elizabeth, thank you so much for outlining our options and reminding us all how this complex process can work and benefit the district. Appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Okay, next on our list is Summer Programs 2025 Overview. Oh, I was wondering why Mr. Baker was still back there.
I'm back.
He's back. I'm going to
back.
just tee you up, Dr. Baker, okay?
means, by all
You
means.
ready for this?
Please.
This is your entry walk-in. So we can go back and start not teasing, no. So to the Board of Education and our public community, each year the district offers a wide, very comprehensive, robust range of programming for our students during the summer. And historically, academic programs have been offered to students with disabilities and students who need additional academic support, as well as programs for students interested in fine arts, athletics, enrichments. Additionally, York High School offers credit-bearing courses for students. And so tonight, we welcome Dr. Baker to share with us just a little bit of a preview of the planning that's taking place for the district's upcoming summer program. Please welcome Dr. Baker.
Hello again. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. Thank you for the lovely introduction. Dr. Campbell took some of the words out of my mouth, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. We're on the same wavelength. Well, thank you for having me back again this evening to talk about our amazing summer programs here in District 205. All students have a place in District 205 summer programming. Interest and enrollment in summer programs continues to be very strong. Last summer, we had well over 3,800 enrollments across all programs. We collected feedback from program leaders, teachers, students, families, and other stakeholders to identify areas where we could build on our successes and pursue opportunities for continuous improvement, and you'll see that reflected in the updates that follow. In tonight's presentation, I'll provide an overview of programs, discuss updates to program funding, follow up on actions taken since I last presented to the board about summer programs, and review the next steps in preparation for this summer's programming. So the purpose of our district's summer programs align with the strategic objectives focused specifically on the priorities of student success and learning environment. The bolded phrases illustrate this alignment, such as how our summer programs provide opportunities to elevate academic excellence and allow students to explore their passions. I will highlight these connections more specifically in the next few slides. This slide showcases the programs that will be offered to students across the district at each grade band. As in the past, students will have the opportunity to participate in a variety of academic, athletic, and arts programs to meet their needs and interests. This includes a commitment to academic support and enrichment at each grade level. The table on this slide highlights the programs offered across early childhood and elementary. Academic programs focus primarily on providing students the opportunity to develop and maintain essential skills and content knowledge, while elective programs focus on encouraging students to explore their passion and purpose and develop meaningful relationships. For example, this includes extended school year, or ESY, which will be offered to students at all levels based on their individualized education plan needs. Impact for this program is measured by meeting IEP benchmarks and making individual goal progress. Acceleration is another academic program that will be offered to recommended students from kindergarten through 8th grade who need additional academic support. Students are identified through a data-driven process, and impact is monitored for these students through ECRIS. As part of our effort to identify pathways and accelerate outcomes for emergent bilingual students, biliteracy and language learning opportunities will be offered to current 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students enrolled in our dual language program. These offerings will deepen Spanish language acquisition and promote academic enrichment. The impact of these programs will be measured through the triangulation of data from NWEA MAP, Access, and LostLinks assessments. Academic exploratory programs provide opportunities for students in grades K through 8 to participate in learning experiences beyond what is offered during a normal school year, including certain Project Lead the Way offerings and the LEGO series. Impact will be measured by stakeholder surveys, and a variety of athletic camps and fine arts courses will be offered to students at various grade levels, and impact will also be measured by a stakeholder survey. The table on this slide highlights the programs offered for middle school students. Summer programming for current 5th graders and above will be located at York High School. You'll see a continuation of most offerings from the previous slide, including ESY, acceleration, emergent bilingual, athletics, arts, and exploratory options. Additionally, students currently in 6th grade who will be transitioning into the REACH program next year can participate in a summer bridge program to prepare them for REACH Math. This is a self-paced program with weekly office hours funded through Learning and Teaching. Like other academic offerings, this will be focused on developing and maintaining essential skills and content knowledge. York will also continue to host programs for students currently in 8th grade and above, including ESY and a variety of athletic camps. Other offerings include the Academic Summer School Program, which provides open enrollment opportunities for students to fulfill some of their graduation requirements over the summer. This opens up their schedule to either accelerate in that course sequence or take an additional elective course based on an area of interest. There are a variety of programs offered to recommended groups of York students as well. These include Credit Recovery, which is for students who need to retake a course, Freshman Bridge and Stretch Academies, which provide targeted academic support to recommended incoming freshmen, and the EL Academy, which provides students in the high school EL program with targeted support in language acquisition and core academics. Impact for these programs will be measured by stakeholder surveys, credits earned, and analysis of pre-ACT data. And now we'd like to provide an overview of funding for the district's summer programs, and I'm going to hand it over to Katie to kick it off.
Thank you, Patrick. So the table on this slide provides an overview of the primary funding sources for the district's summer programming. So as you can see here, from 2022 to 2024, listed in that middle column, the ESSER grant, which is known as the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund grant, provided funding for the district's transportation costs and covered all fees associated with academic acceleration for our students in grades K through 8. This summer, without ESSER funding, transportation costs and K-8 academic acceleration will now be covered by course registration fees. As you can see in the remaining 3 rows, funding for all other program offerings will remain the same as in previous summers. The IDEA grant will continue to cover ESY programming costs. The Title I grant will cover the costs for York students that receive a fee waiver and for students that participate in the English Learner Academy. And course registration fees will continue to be required for participation in athletics, fine arts, exploratory classes, and York academic programming. It is important to note that in addition to ESSER funds, which are no longer provided to districts, the salaries for this summer's staff will also increase as the hourly rate for staff was increased within the new teacher contract. These 2 factors have contributed to an increase in course registration fees for this summer, and Patrick will review this on the next slide for us.
All right. Thank you, Katie. So you'll see this slide presents a comparison of actual expenditure, staffing, and enrollment from last summer with projections for 2025. You can see the increases in staffing costs along with estimated enrollment numbers based on trends and class size data from the last few years. To ensure the long-term financial sustainability, you'll see an updated fee structure which will be in effect through the summer of 2027, which is the duration of the current CBA. These fees are inclusive of all course costs, including staffing and supplies. York Summer School courses will have a base cost of $255 plus any applicable lab fees. Courses for 6th through 8th grade students will range from $180 to $380 depending on course duration and lab fees. And all acceleration and exploratory courses for K-5 students will have a fee of $300. For non-ESY students, optional bus transportation will be offered for an additional fee of $125 per student. So with rising costs, we recognize that transitioning summer acceleration to a fee-based course comes with financial implications for families, and that's why we've set aside funds to offer scholarships to certain impacted families. To be eligible, the student must currently attend a D205 school. The student must be recommended for acceleration, and there must be a financial hardship that would otherwise be a barrier to access. Invitations for acceleration will have additional information for families, including eligibility criteria and application information. And now I'd like to briefly follow up on the actions taken since the recap presentation last July. And I'm delighted to start with a celebration. For the 2nd year in a row, students who participated in acceleration outperformed students who were invited but did not attend on this year's fall MAP assessment. We hope this will continue to be a selling point for families of invited students. Secondly, knowing that ESSER funding would no longer be available, course fees have been updated after a thorough review and evaluation to ensure ongoing financial sustainability. And finally, identifying pathways for students continues to be an area of focus. This year, language acceleration opportunities will be added as an extension of summer acceleration for current 3rd through 6th grade students, and the existing middle school dual language opportunity will add another grade level as the dual language program itself continues to expand. We also plan to offer the Med Careers course pathway again this summer to eligible York students. Looking ahead, because it's a great night to think about summer programs. We are working to finalize course offerings within each program. Once finalized, information will be shared with the community. The registration process timeline will begin, and we'll continue to plan and prepare for the first day of summer programs, which will be Monday, June 2nd, 2025. Thank you so much. We are happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. My apologies for getting that wrong the
That's
first
okay.
time. Open up to the board for comments, questions. Kara?
Hi, thanks. Appreciate all the thorough information.
Yeah.
This is maybe more a conversation or something for Tanya, but also for you. When we communicate out the summer things, are you going to maybe share some reasoning as to why the fees have increased? I don't know what the fees were last year, but obviously there's an increase. So will that be part of the communication so people understand why that's going up? Okay, or Katie?
So Tanya and I will work
Yeah.
very closely with Dr. Baker. Definitely, we can take that into consideration. I think it's really important. Our team, the learning and teaching team, and Dr. Baker and I have really explored the different community offerings that are provided for our students over the summer. We took a look at the Elmhurst Park District very closely, and their programs range from anywhere between $100 to $200 a week. And so we were still trying to offer a really equitable opportunity and provide access for students. And so you'll see that reflected in our costs. And so we want to message that this is these are really amazing opportunities for the 4 weeks that we can provide it for students at the elementary and different durations at 6 to 12, and that the prices are still very competitive. We weren't trying to go above and beyond, and we were still trying to provide access for more families. And then also with the scholarship application, we'll be looking very closely. We've put money set aside to support some families this will be a particular hardship for them, and to make sure we can still include them in our summer programming. There are many districts that we're collaborating with that are feeling this because of the loss of ESSER funds, and so this is across the country. We're getting really creative and what summer programming and looks like. It is not something that we have to provide as a district, but we do want to make sure that we continue to provide it and that it's sustainable over time. So we'll be clear on how we message that and continue it, and we'll work with Tanya to do so. Thank you for that.
Thanks, yeah. And then just, I know that you're finalizing courses now, but is there a way to make sure that, and maybe it's already out there, I'm going to put this out, I haven't looked at the website, but maybe are the dates for summer programming out there? I know that people people try to plan, and I just didn't know if, even though the course offerings are being secured, are the dates out there, or could they be out there?
They will be after tonight.
Okay. I appreciate that.
You first. You first.
Can I be
Got it.
second?
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you. And
Absolutely.
then one last thing. Wow,
Sure.
this is one, two. Just kind of going over the cost again. Those fees cover the cost,
Correct.
correct? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? So it's a break-even program is what I'm gathering from your presentation tonight, that
That
with
is what
ESSER
we're-
funds expiring, the goal is to become a break-even program.
That's the target.
Yes, very good.
Absolutely.
I would say we are budgeting to ensure that there are students who, under financial hardship, we have
Yes, I
scholarships.
was
So it's
going
not
there.
necessarily break even, because we
Yes.
are budgeting for that cost. And so we are putting into the community.
Got it.
But we are not gaining any financial money from the costs that we incur as a district to support.
That's what I was highlighting, and I was actually going to go to that scholarship program next. So going back to that, so the program overall is a break-even program where it's self-funded except for the scholarship program where the district has budgeted funds to support students who otherwise might not be able to access summer programming, right? Which I really appreciate you implementing that opportunity, because I think it's another one of those moments where the district is demonstrating their work in making education accessible by all and
Absolutely.
and minimizing all of or any barrier that may be in the way of accessing. In summer programming, we know, especially at the upper grades, students may use to accelerate or to retake, and of course, we want them to have those opportunities to do so in the same way that all students do to access the summer program. So thank you for doing that. And this
Yeah.
being your first time doing it, I would also encourage you, if at the end of the summer, maybe you didn't have a lot of scholarship applications, or there's still budgeted dollars that go unused, that maybe we look at the criteria or even how we work with students to make sure that they're staying on track and know that the scholarship opportunity is available. So just, I know we're on a continuous
Absolutely.
improvement model and that you
That's
all
great.
will do this. I'm just expressing my gratitude for developing a system that is breaking down barriers and creating accessibility for all.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that. Anything else from the board? Okay, Dr. Baker, thank you.
Thank you all.
Appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Likewise.
Okay, we are moving on to the consent agenda. Is there anything anyone would like to pull from the consent agenda? Nope. All right, if nothing is pulled, can we please have a motion for the consent agenda?
I move that the Board of Education approve the following consent agenda items. Item A, Personnel Report. Item B, Financial Reports. Item C, FOIA, Freedom of Information Act requests. Item D, K through 8 School Photography Color Portraits Extension.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mrs. Caforio, second by Mrs. Hostler. Can we please call the vote?
Mrs. Caforio?
Yes.
Mrs. Hostler?
Yes.
Dr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mrs. Assif?
Yes.
Mrs. Troutman? Mrs. Arvanites?
Yes, 6 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent. Motion passes. We'll move on to our agenda action items. The first item is item A, the approval of resolution of the Board of Education transferring money from the operations and maintenance funds to the debt service fund. Dr. Campbell or Chris?
This resolution is required by school code to pay the debt certificates out of the debt service fund. So this transfer is something that we do annually. This resolution for the transfer, this amount is $332,710 for the debt certificates.
Thank you, Chris. Can we please have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the resolution to transfer money from the operation and maintenance funds to the debt service fund for purpose of payment of debt certificates for FY25.
I'll second.
Motion made by Dr. Henry, second by Ms. Assif. Are there any comments from the board? Seeing none, please call the vote.
Dr. Henry?
Yes.
Mrs. Assif?
Yes.
Mrs. Troutman? Mrs. Caforio?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mrs. Hostler?
Yes.
Mrs. Arvanites?
Yes, 6 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent. Motion passes. Item B is the approval of contract with First Student for Transportation Services for the 25-26 through 29-30 school years. We'll turn that over to Chris.
So we have two bus contracts. B is First Student and C is Cottage Hill. We're happy to present the proposed contract for the First Student and Cottage Hill. This was first shared at the December board meeting. These 5-year agreements continue our long-standing partnership and help the district save money by stretching the costs of upgrading the bus fleets. The contracts propose a 6.15% increase in the first year, followed by 5% increases each year thereafter. These rates are much lower than the nearly 40% rise in cost seen in recent years. The contracts also support competitive wages and upgrade our bus fleets. We've worked with both companies to ensure they maintain high-quality service with penalties for issues like repeated late buses or missed routes without proper notice.
Thank you, Mr. Walton. Can we please have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the contract with First Student for the 2025-26 through 2029-30 years with increases of 6.15%, 5%, 5%, 5%, and 5% as presented.
I'll second.
Motion made by Dr. Henry, second by Ms. Hostler. Are there any comments from the board? Seeing none, can we please call the vote?
Dr. Henry,
Yes.
Mrs. Hostler,
Yes.
Mrs. Gafforio,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mrs. Assif,
Yes.
Mrs. Troutman, Mrs. Arvanites.
Yes, 6 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent, motion passes. The last item under action items is the approval of contract with Cottage Hill for services during the 25-26 through 29-30 school years. Mr. Welton?
I covered it with my comments
Oh, yeah.
earlier.
It's another bus contract, thank you. Thank you. Can we please have a
I'll
motion?
do it again. I'm on a
Yes.
roll. so.
You're on a roll.
Okay.
First place.
Yeah, I should have done just both at the same time. I move that the Board of Education approve the contract with Cottage Hill for 2025-26 through 2029-30 years with increases of 6.15%, 5%, 5%, 5%, and 5% as presented.
I'll second.
Motion made by Dr. Henry, second by Ms. Assaf. Are there any comments from the board? Seeing none, can we please call the vote?
Dr. Henry,
Yes.
Mrs. Assif,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mrs. Troutman, Mrs. Gafforio,
Yes.
Mrs. Hostler,
Yes.
Mrs. Arvanites.
Yes, 6 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent, motion passes. We are moving swiftly on to item number 10, which is Superintendent Communications. I'll turn over to Dr. Campbell.
Good evening, everyone. We have several announcements and updates that we would like to share with you and our community. First, starting off, highlighting the upcoming exciting kindergarten family information night. And then we're going to share an update on our MTSS work that is happening. And then lastly, just a brief update on our progress in recruiting a very high-quality Edison principal. So first, let's kick it off for kindergarten family information night to my colleague, Ms. Daniels.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. The Kindergarten Family Information Night this year will be held on January 28th at York High School, where we will welcome the incoming class of, brace yourselves, 2038. Whoa. The event will be held from 6 to 7:30, and it will include presentations from district administrators along with representatives from parent organizations, where their attendees will have the opportunity to learn about the enrollment process, learn about some of the curricular programs in the district, learn about supports and services that are offered to students, as well as how your students and families can both get involved and stay involved throughout the journey of excellence in District 205. And while we do highly recommend that people attend in person, we are recording the presentations that will be provided, and they will be available on our website. And then the registration will be open that night for new families, and then it will open the next day for district-wide. So all of that information will be shared in more detail with all of our families, but we look forward to seeing everybody. You may recall we had this event here last year, and it was standing room only, so we're moving it to the auditorium at York High School this year, the brand-new, gorgeous auditorium.
Next, I have my colleague, Ms. Leischel, who's going to share a little update on MTSS.
Great, thanks, Dr. Campbell.
So just wanted to update you that in partnership with American Institutes for Research Center for Multi-Tiered System of Supports, or MTSS, District 205 has completed a needs assessment of our current MTSS practices across all grade bands in schools. And so this review included a self-assessment using the Fidelity of Implementation rubric to reflect on school-based practices by building leadership teams, a district leader focus group, and a whole staff MTSS infrastructure survey to better understand current practices. So after all that information was collected, last week, leaders came together to review the summary of findings and recommendations. And so we are now going to take this information to guide and support the prioritization of a multi-year plan to continue to align and refine our district's MTSS framework so that we can continue to maximize student achievement and support students' social, emotional, and behavior needs.
Thank you, Ms. Fleischel. And last but certainly not least, my colleague, Dr. Schumacher, is going to share a really brief update on our process with our Edison Principal Search.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Campbell. I'm happy tonight to share that the Edison Principal Search is well underway, that District 205 continues to attract numerous high-quality candidates, a strong testament to our board, staff, and the larger community here in Elmhurst. After reviewing applications, we have identified a large slate of candidates to screen in the near future. Following the initial screening round, 2 additional in-depth rounds of interviews will occur in January and early February with various stakeholders represented on those interview teams. The administration then hopes to bring a recommended candidate to the board at the regular meeting in February, assuming strong candidate consensus and positive reference checks. We look forward to securing a strong leader for Edison and supporting the transition of leadership as Mr. Pliskota retires after an excellent tenure as the building's principal. Thank you.
Thank you. So that concludes Superintendent D205 highlights. I'm now going to ask my colleague, Ms. Daniels, to share our communication highlights.
So I'm sad that I forgot to share this with Dr. Baker. He would have enjoyed seeing it. Last night, he led the all-district band festival. Wanted to make sure I get the words right. And we have a short video highlighting that for you. It was a wonderful event with hundreds and hundreds of students across the district highlighting their musical talents. And so we're excited to share that with you.
Tonight, we celebrate the talented students that are seated behind me. And tonight, we celebrate the power of music bringing us all together, all across our entire unit district. As a district, we strive to ensure that we are providing all of our students a variety of pathways to identify and to explore their passions and their purpose. This festival is a very special opportunity and moment for all of our students that are a part of our music program to share in this special moment. This is a moment and is a glimpse of the exciting future for our students, not only tonight, but ahead. Their hard work, guided by their dedicated band directors, showcase not only their talent, but also their commitment to growth and collaboration. Lastly, I want to thank each and every one of you, the families, for your unwavering support. It makes all of this possible. So let's sit back on this brisk, cold Chicago night and let's enjoy the incredible performances and celebrate the joy of making music together.
Thanks for sharing that tremendous undertaking. Lots of instruments and people in one spot. On a cold Chicago night. Brisk. So we will move on to, you were finished, right, Superintendent? You sure? Nothing else? Okay. Board communications, any board members that would like to present reports or share any information with the full board? Okay, we'll move on to upcoming meetings. We have a special board meeting on January 14th, 2025 at 4:30 PM. A committee of the whole meeting on February 5th, 2025 at 5:30 PM. And a regular board meeting on February 25th at 7 PM. All three meetings will be held here at District 205 Center in room 215, 16, 17. With that, it is 8:03 and we are adjourned.